Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
Every coach out there understands how difficult the balance is of our passion for the game and the attention we give it, and then our family life, whether you're married or not, just any family that you have or friends that are important to you. The balance between those two things, it can be tough. You don't want to miss out or feel like you're giving less to either side. So over your career, how have you been able to balance family life and coaching?
I got some of the best advice about balance ever about 3 years ago. I got hired here at Mansfield. I was still in the Army Reserves. And I was a sergeant first class in the Army. I was now the coordinator at our campus for Mansfield, and then a head basketball coach. And I was hitting a point in my career where I'm like, I'm struggling to balance my family life with my Army life, with my basketball, and now a campus coordinator, which I'd been aspiring to be. So I called a friend he's a judge in the Houston area. I served with him in Iraq. He was a general when he retired. When I worked with him in Iraq, he was a major, and he was over me in our operations cell in 2009. And I'm like, this guy's a great husband, a great father. He was a general and a judge. Like, I'm calling him about balance. Like, you got to call the people that are doing it well, right?
No
And
doubt.
I called and I said, sir, I'm struggling. I don't know how I'm going to keep, I want to be this, I want to do this, but how do I do it all? And he said, I stopped calling it balance a long time ago, or I never would have been where I'm at. He said, it's not balance, it's a teeter totter, like a teeter totter.
Yeah.
You have to know who needs your attention when they need it. You know, you're not trying to get the perfect balance where you're just, everyone's happy. It's my team needs me, my family needs me, my mom needs me, my spouse needs me, you know, and I was analyzing that, and I got to a place where I'm like, I don't think I can teeter totter with the Army anymore and not take away from the things that are currently my most passionate purpose. And I didn't want to fail my campus, and I didn't want to fail my team and the coaches that I serve. And that's when I decided to retire. And so it's not always good advice if you don't want to change your life up. But I think that looking at your life and not trying to have this perfect balance that's almost impossible to exist, but paying attention to what's important to you and giving it your attention, and knowing that you might have to rapid fire attention multiple times a day, and then sometimes phases of your life, right?
Yeah.
I don't have children, but if you had young kids versus, you know, kids that are out of the house, like, you are going to have completely different teeter-tottering needs.
Yep.
You know, even if you do have kids, but if your campus goes through a crisis, your family's going to have to understand that the teeter-totter's got to go here to navigate a crisis. Same thing at home. If you're coaching at home, if you're coaching in the middle of the season and you've got a crisis at home, and they're going to understand, and they'll be there when it teeters back. But balance, that was probably some of the best advice I've ever heard. So
I really like that idea behind it. Made me think of Mike Neighbors. I asked him about balance, and he said, don't try.
yeah,
Like, don't even try. He had the approach of, try to get things together as much as possible. So like, his family is up at the gym all the time, see ways that you can blend things. But then I also thought about the LT3F as a way to maybe get in touch with how you're feeling about the balance in your life. Like, if we're just constantly on the go and we don't take time to pause and think, we may be running on empty and not even realizing it, and then starting to suffer. And then also thought that maybe it's kind of to your story, maybe you just can't do everything.
Yeah.
Like, you want to do it all.
You get to choose. Do I really want to do everything?
Yes.
You know, and it just allows you to be aware and choose.
Yeah.
You know?
If you could start over in coaching, what's something that you'd like to do differently?
I talked about bringing in Ed. I would have done that 10 years ago. I'd be way ahead. And not just Ed, but somebody like Ed, but Ed's phenomenal. I mean, that was super helpful. Yeah, I think that self-awareness from people outside of your normal peer set, that because they need to focus on them. They need to focus on their team. They're going to give you attention, but it's different. It's just different. And I didn't know it until I had it.
Yeah, that's good. I wanted to bring this up about social media because that is one of the things that, connected us. Was I saw you had reposted or shared something, and then looked at, profile. I got to see your team's, what do you call it? Handle? What is it? Account, your team's account. And so the mic'd up.
I just started that.
Tell me about that. Cause like, what a cool idea. Explain it. And then I'll probably have some follow-up questions.
It really just started. That's funny that that's the one that you saw.
Well, no. I connected before, but then in looking more like preparing for our talk, but yeah.
Yeah. When you're scrolling Facebook and like an ad pops up and you're like, I don't need that. Well, how'd you tap in my brain? It was like a little $5 mic set that you could clip up and plug into your phone. So I'm really big on filming. I like to build culture. I like to highlight culture. I've got some stuff from our campus summer camps where we had up to 200 campers. And I'm really big on showing that it's not just basketball, it's especially as a coordinator, it's Mansfield High School, and here's all the great things we're doing. So I got into that there, and because I'm in that space, I guess Facebook told me I needed a $5 clip-on mic that goes into my phone while I film.
Facebook knows.
And I'm like, yes, I do. And so I ordered it impulsively, and I just came in and started playing with it. And it's that time of year. So I just started last week, I guess.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where you're trying to get that excitement back again. We kind of took a break and just went straight strength and conditioning for a while. And now we're getting back on the court, and I wanted a new vibe, and let's just play with something new. And so I threw it on my point guard, and she's singing Drake, and she's like, I sound like Drake. I'm like, no, you don't, but it's fun. It just brings a little, and maybe it's the LT3F. I'm like, I need to be a little more lighthearted. We struggled in district, and it's hard to go from heavy and really challenging games to like, now it's time to get better. Let's get real excited, And so I wanted something fun. And I think the time was just right for a little fun. Today I mic'd up my JV coach, and she was doing defensive drills, and it's just fun to kind of see them in their own element too. So that's new. I've had more failures in that than successes. So I had 2 mics going at once, and they were just talking over each other. So I'm trying to get that one right.
No, I think it's a great idea. And I don't know if I'm there yet. I don't know if I'm at the place where I think I could mic up a kid, but I love the idea of letting people into your gym, like behind the scenes, letting people know what you do on a daily basis. And not just when I say people, I think mainly like look at all the stakeholders in your program. Obviously it's your coaching staff, it's your players, but it's the parents, like it's their family. And my son plays for me, and I got to see firsthand how bad players are at explaining what they do to their parents, because we did this awesome thing in the gym, and we get home and my wife is like, how was basketball today? Good. And I'm like, hold on. Tell her what you did. I don't know. I'm like, you don't know? Like what? But my thought is that I wanted to let our parents know, like you, that it's more than basketball. Like our Tough Tuesdays and Thankful Thursdays, some of my favorite Wisdom Wednesdays. I started doing Wisdom Wednesdays instead of just a quote. So man, it was the Lakers G League or D League team. And if you go on GFCS MBB on our social media, you can see these little 20, 30-second clips. But one kid gets to choose a quote, and he gets to read it off a sheet. Everybody else is around him, and he has to do it with 2 things, enthusiasm and conviction. And so he yells it and like hypes up, but the group also has to practice what Adam Bradley calls followership. They have to practice being a good follower. Anything that guy says is like, oh yeah, like the best thing they've ever heard. And so it's these guys like, and then one of my managers filming it, but that's how he did Wisdom Wednesday. Filming that, letting our parents see that it's not just me barking at them about basketball, but then the skill work and like the stuff that you're doing. I don't know. I think like part of the motivation for the podcast, let's keep sharing the game and let's help others.
2 things really quick. I'm literally doing a project right now on servant leadership followership.
Yeah.
That is in my program at Creighton right now. That's due next week. So what did you say the followership guy's name was?
Adam Bradley. He is in charge of Lead 'em Up. It's a great organization tied with PGC in a lot of ways. But also too, those people that are fans of the Hardwood Hustle will remember Adam Bradley was the founder with Alan Stein before the PGC guys took over. So that's how I first knew or heard about Adam. Had him on the podcast a couple years ago, but yeah, does a great job of, like, we talk so much about the leaders, and one of our quotes or mottos is there's a leader in every locker, which is true. We all, that everybody has to lead at a level, a certain level, but there's different ways to lead, but we don't focus on the other side, which is we need good followers. Yeah. Like if you have a group of all leaders at once, it's probably going to be pretty chaotic. In a game, you may have one guy that is leading, and those other 4 better be following well at that time, or coaching players. And he talks about how the relationship bounces back and forth from leader to follower. So that followership is something that we really need to cultivate or grow with our players.
You want to help me with my project? This is good. No,
Adam Bradley. Yeah, no.
Got it. No, that's great. Yeah, I can't remember the last. I'm saying that weird, but I don't think I've ever heard anybody say followership, and I'm working on it right now. And
I hadn't heard that term before him, so I feel like it's something that him and Lead 'em Up. It's
in my textbook. It's a thing. Okay. It's in my doctorate program right now. It's a big substance.
Nice.
It's a big piece. So I'm sure he's just more educated than we are on it right now. So.
I don't know, but going back to allowing people in. I mean, you do it with the Special Olympics basketball camp. You bring people together. Our kids, like, we can use social media to highlight our players and make, what is it PGC said? They said the best sound anybody will hear, or their favorite sound, is to hear their name. So to use people's names often. But these kids and their phones, man, so much, like you said at the very beginning, so much negativity out there. It's nice when there's positivity, and when kids sees a birthday reminder or a birthday photo on our platforms, or we're highlighting the great skill or games that they won. And I think that's just a good way for us to bring people in, but also highlight our players. And that mic'd up, I just thought was a really cool thing.
Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.